There are many reasons that lead a person in this life to become addicted to bad habits despite his knowledge of their danger, and no matter how many reasons or subjective or objective circumstances, smoking remains the scourge of the modern age, and the habit that accompanies the majority of the population of the earth without most of them being able to quit. Smokers usually say that they find pleasure while holding a cigarette between their fingers without daring to quit, and some say that they have tried many times to stay away from it without reaching a radical solution that prevents them in any way. Here comes the book Don't Stop Smoking Until You read this book to teach us how to identify and change beliefs about smoking, and to recognize the difference between addictive behavior and the normal behavior of smoking. Don't Stop Smoking Until You've Read This Book. By Harry Alder, Carl Morris and Dev Shah. In today's world, no one denies that smoking addiction is the scourge of modern age, and fortunately we came to know more about what smoking causes. At the same time we also know a lot about how to quit smoking. And what has been emphasized in a number of studies is that ignorance is the main cause of the inability to quit smoking. In order to determine the factors contributing to smoking cessation, it is necessary to distinguish between 4 categories of smoking. What happens inside your brain and all the factors that control addictive behavior. Volitional actions as a result of a response to a specific stimulus. Psychological factors such as your own attitudes, beliefs, and habits. Social factors such as the influence of friends, circumstances, work, and helping others. And in order for a person to cure himself of smoking, he must take nicotine in another form and in lower doses. Take antidepressants. Have behavioral support programs and other interventions. Bit to remember, identifying smoking categories makes it easier to quit smoking. It is necessary to distinguish here between 2 types of addiction. Physical addiction, nicotine is considered a major cause of addiction. Psychological addiction, it is represented in the habits that coincide with smoking and that automatically continue with smoking even if the smoker wants to act contrarily. Understanding these 2 types of addiction is the first step towards quitting smoking. Nicotine is among the main causes of the addiction process. Once a smoker smokes 4 cigarettes a day, he becomes addicted to nicotine. Although the effect of nicotine is relatively fast, its addictive properties are weak compared to other addictive substances. Once you understand the nature of nicotine addiction, quitting smoking won't be difficult at all, no matter how large the number of cigarettes and no matter what is the extent of the addiction. It becomes easy to quit, and that is because of the following reasons. The effect of nicotine addiction is very weak. Nicotine has nothing to do with happiness or confidence. Ease of abstaining. There is no physical pain when quitting smoking. Bit to remember, distinguishing between types of addiction facilitates the process of quitting smoking. Although it is possible to quit the habit of smoking, many people cannot actually do so for certain reasons. This failure to quit makes us understand that the difficulty of quitting is not caused by serious and painful symptoms resulting from quitting, but this whole process depends on what is going on in the human mind, especially the psychological aspect of it. Perhaps the most dangerous thing that leads a person to stick to this smoking habit is fabricating and finding justifications. For example, when the smoker says that the cigarette makes him focus greatly, relax or feel very happy. And whenever the level of fear of losing these things and beliefs increases, the desire to stick to this smoking habit also increases. The most dangerous aspect of all this is that the smoker focuses on what he loses and at the same time reduces the damage and the number of the risks that smoking causes, such as the incurable diseases, like lung cancer. But in spite of all these fears, we find that what happens when someone quits smoking is, after 20 minutes, blood pressure and pulse return to its normal state. After 8 hours, the oxygen in the blood returns to its normal state. After 24 hours, carbon monoxide dissipates. Bit to remember, the process of quitting smoking depends on what goes on in the human mind, specifically the psychological aspect of it. There is a set of arguments behind which every smoker hides, and the book discusses them in details after dividing them into 4 main arguments. 1. Smoking helps me focus. 2. Smoking helps me relax. 3. Smoking brings happiness. 4. Quitting smoking causes gain of weight. In order to discuss each of these arguments, we say that smoking does not help in focusing. All what happens is that when the cigarette ends in a short period of time, a person feels disturbed and distracted, and this is the same feeling that prevents the smoker from concentrating. Smoking makes the process of concentration a difficult process and not vice versa. The second argument is also not based on scientific basis, and the feeling of comfort and relaxation is a situational factor that is linked to the smoking process itself, as once the cigarette ends, a kind of mental confusion returns, which affects the entire psychological state. This factor is also linked to another argument that the smoker creates from the illusion of feeling a momentary pleasure. It is a perverse pleasure, as it is a kind of a temporary avoidance of feeling bad. As for the argument of being overweight, it is a compelling and unscientific argument because weight gain is already linked to tastes, habits and lifestyle. Bit to remember, the arguments that smokers rely on are not based on scientific basis but on psychological basis.